Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 4 and episode, let's see, it would be 539 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Cryo Media Network. Skidoop, 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 ba-ba. Yeah, a little shuffle beat because it is shuffle day.
Shuffle day? What's shuffle day? I'm not familiar with shuffle day.
Cabinet shuffle. They announced yesterday, sometime yesterday evening, that it's going to happen today around 11:30 a.m.
Right. You are correct. Yes. We are expecting to see that at some point today. Sorry, you say shuffle day, and I went Sheffield Day. Tim Sheffield Day, who was a sports commentator, and my mind went elsewhere altogether. So
it's like that match game, shuffle blank. Shuffle day, shuffle board,
shuffle. Match game 77 with your host, Gene Rayburn. That guy apparently was a huge perv.
Apparently, yes.
Huge perv.
Yes.
Like, run away.
Yes. So it's shuffle day here. I'm not sure that Mr. Grizzly will join me in this endeavor, and you will find out later why that is, because we've talked a little bit before the show. But I might go live around that time.
Yeah. I'll see what I can do. See how I'm feeling.
But self-care first.
I'm suffering from a sinus infection right now, and I'm not. I was out for a couple hours last night. Met with a colleague. We had a wonderful evening. It was a friend and a colleague, and it was wonderful. And I got home and I sat down, and I'm like, 9 p.m. I'm crawling into bed, and I've been tossing and turning all night. It's sneezing and wheezing, and I'm not as good as I should be. I'd like to be. I'm supposed to host a wine and cheese tonight, but I think I'm going to have to cancel. We'll see how the day goes, but I might have to cancel, which I hate to do because Christmas time, wine and cheese party, your buds. It's a good time, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. We'll see. We'll see how the day progresses.
'Tis the season for the sneezing.
Indeed.
So, yeah. Let's keep on going. Today, recording day. Well, it's Friday.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. December 20th, 2024. And it's going to be a pretty good day here at the Beaver Lodge. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A. And as you can hear with me is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly, even though maybe a little less growl today and a little more all snub-dub.
Well,
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens. Yeah. Big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. We have a really fun show for you today, because we have a guest. So I guess technically it's also episode number 63 of the True North Eager Beaver interview project as well. But a return guest to the Beaver Lodge, of
Mhm.
course, Mr. Grizzly is more familiar with the guest
What
because
happened there?
you have more of a pre-existing relationship than we do. But I asked, how would you like to be introduced? She said, as the artist formerly known as Sam G.
I don't know what
That's what
happened to
we
my
will do.
camera. That was very weird. Very
So,
strange. My whole camera went haywire there for a second. I don't know what happened. Anyway, sorry. I'm back. I'm good. I'm good.
So, Mr. Grizzly, before we bring Sam G on to ask how her mental health is doing today, how's your mental health doing today?
In all honesty, I think I'm okay. But physically, I'm not feeling great. So, but I have a raging migraine and I have a dozen lights on me. So I might have to tap out early. We'll see. Maybe I'll just go put some sunglasses and a hat on. I don't know. We'll see. We'll play it by ear.
Yeah.
Why don't we bring our friend in who we haven't seen in some time?
Yes,
But
so kids, put your paws up and give a big round of applause for Mr. Grizzly.
Sam G.
Yay!
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? How's your
I'm
mental health today?
good. It's good. I mean, it's been a week here in Canada, so we're kind of
Mhm.
catch up with what it all means, but trying to stay focused on the positive and the holidays and all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
Excellent.
and like you say, it's trying to stay focused on the positive, which is, I think it's taking more work than normal right now.
Yeah, this chipper mood doesn't just happen.
Something about it's the inability to find the positive because there's just so much unknown as well.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
me, that can be really discombobulating. So
Oh, I hear
working
that.
through that.
Yep.
Well, so we met on The Bad Place. We know The Bad Place. where I somehow I stumbled upon you 4 or 5 years ago, and it was like the things you were saying were some of the funniest things I'd read on The Bad Place. And for those who are wondering what The Bad Place is, it's the artist formerly known as Twitter, which is now echo chamber of hate-filled Nazis. Anyway, so yeah, I stumbled across your feed one day, and it was some of the funniest stuff I'd ever read. I'm like, I just howled with laughter every time I would read some of your tweets. And then, you had a podcast I followed for a while, and you put that on hold for a bit because life gets in the way, right? As it does for all of us.
Yeah, and I think the funniest kind of like collision of two worlds was that flashing back to, I guess it was winter of 2022, was it? Yeah. And the infamous trucker convoy. And we, on social media, were introduced to Blue Jacket Guy, who sort of told the trucker convoy exactly how he felt about their presence in downtown Ottawa. And then lo and behold, Blue Jacket Guy is you. So I knew of you in two ways and didn't realize it was the same person. So that was kind of a
that was the
neat
funny
set of
I
circumstances.
think we were on a chat. I think we were in a chat room or something, and you're like, "That was you?" I'm like, "Yeah, that was me." Not exactly my best moment in this world, but I don't regret it. It was not my finest hour, but I don't regret it because I spoke my mind.
And I don't
Spoke
think
my
the
mind.
convoy brought out the best in anybody. So,
No, it did not. It did not.
not a good moment in our history for sure.
No, goodness no. So how have you been? What have you been up to? What's new? What's going on? Let's fill the kits and cubs out because I don't think they're fully up to speed right now. Maybe they are. I don't know.
I'm good. Since maybe you last saw me, I left Toronto and moved west. Not
Oh, I didn't know that.
significantly further west, but yeah, I'm west of the city now. So that's been 2 years, but it feels like a minute because time is just flying by. And I'm still gainfully employed, thank goodness. And as far as social media goes, so you mentioned I did the podcast for a while, and then we kind of both decided we were going to take some of our social media presence in different directions. And then I realized that social media in and of itself was starting to become really heavy. I think we've all seen that shift, that it, to your earlier point, you could put out a joke and it's quite literally a joke, and it's, I think, obviously a joke. And the vitriol that finds its way into your replies, into the comment section, whatever it might be, just got increasingly and increasingly more hateful, more aggressive. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what the content was. You're just being inundated by it. And I know you guys are obviously very focused on mental health, and that was not having a good effect on me
Mhm.
and how I was showing
Mhm.
up on social media and how I was showing up in the world. Because it's hard to pull apart that there's all these really awful people saying awful things in my phone, but in the real world, I was having a hard time separating the fact that these aren't the same people that I'm dealing with morning, noon, and night when I check my
Right.
notifications.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it
So
just gets all
definitely,
blurred, right? Because it's the same activity, but you have to compartmentalize the groups of people, and then you don't even have them in front of you, right? So you don't get you don't
right.
have that good energy you have with people you know from being in front of them. It's just zeros and ones. And so it all comes in through the exact same format, but some of it is toxic and some of it's great. And then after a while, it's sort of like, well, it's just all toxic.
Assuming
It just
everyone's
bleeds into it.
intentions are the worst, you
Yep.
know?
Yeah.
If someone cuts you off in traffic, you're assuming that this is that horrible person from my phone, and that this wasn't just an accident because they're in a rush to get where they're going. This is actually that terrible person that told me I'm gonna die alone with my cats. Like, it started to get really, really messy in my own head, and then, God forbid, do we swear on this show?
Oh,
Oh
yes.
yeah. Yeah.
Is it okay to curse? Okay.
It's programmatic.
God forbid I see a "fuck Trudeau" flag,
Yeah.
because now my blood pressure's through the roof. I feel myself physically triggered. I'm reacting in kind. So it took a lot to get there, but it was a point of that frustration that led to anger, that led to self-reflection. And then Blue Sky came along at probably the absolute perfect moment, because it was either that or abandon social media altogether.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm.
I know exactly what you're saying. I still have the Bad Place account. I don't use it that much. I'll go on it. I'll be on it for like 10 minutes, and I can feel like literally the blood pressure rising and the anger rising. I'm like, I'm out. I'm out. There's no need for this. It's vitriol. It's hate. It's poison. It's all of the worst things of humanity in one space.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just don't need that. So I go to the nice place, Blue Sky, and it's like, oh, here's a recipe. Here's some cookies I made. Here's my puppy dog. I'm like, okay, now I feel like a better human being.
And here's the
Blue
thing,
sky, where
like,
humans are human.
uh-huh, uh-huh. I had not done a lot of politics prior to the convoy. I had spoken up about, lockdowns and things like that, and my feelings about keeping each other safe, and it was
Mhm.
well known what my opinion was. But I had not talked a lot about politics, and I had tried to keep that separate of the account because it was supposed to be a little bit more lighthearted, and it doesn't tend to stay
Mhm.
that way when you do delve into politics. But the
No.
convoy felt like an opportunity to talk about what was going on in this country. This what had seemed something that should have united us, which was us versus a global pandemic,
Mhm.
created a divide, and then all of the other things that sort of happened downstream of that. And at that point in 2022, you could still have conversation on Twitter, even though there were
Yes.
people that disagreed with you. And I hosted spaces, and other people hosted spaces that had very opposing beliefs and opinions from me, but for the most part, respectful. And at this point, you can't be there and have an opinion about your favorite flavor of Oreo cookie without somebody telling you that, you
Yeah.
deserve to be executed in the street for it. Like, it's gotten to
Exactly.
that level of extreme.
Right.
So it became impossible to have any conversations about fun stuff, and certainly not about the state of the country and have opinions and feeling like you can't have a voice because it gets drowned out. A lot of really garbage noise being, propped up by an algorithm intended to do exactly what it's doing, which is amplify voices that are dissenting on the right and create a lot of chaos, because the longer you stay on the app fighting, the more money to be made, right? So we watched it play out. It's exactly to plan. There's a lot of great people that, I came across, yourselves included. And I'm glad that we were able to migrate over somewhere where we could have more of a conversation. And I can come back to talk about politics and not feel like I'm being attacked for having an opinion that people don't agree with. Because that's how politics goes. You're not going to agree with everybody. That would be quite literally impossible.
No.
Right.
You're right. You're never going to see eye to eye with any politician or a political strategy or ideology. And if you do see eye to eye with everything they do, I think you're in a cult. Right.
Yeah, really. Yeah. So, one of the things when we were starting this too, one of the things that my concerns was because I was always in a written format, and therefore it was just my words. But my photo wasn't there, my voice wasn't there, my image wasn't there. My personality was there through my words, and it was just my thoughts. And that went so far. And a friend suggested we do this, and then we went ahead and we did podcast format when we started, and that was just voice only. But it's already putting your voice to your own words, right? And now we are sending it out broader, because the Facebook page was just a Facebook page, and I didn't advertise it, and I didn't promote it. If you stumbled upon it, if somebody liked it and shared something, she said so they would share it with their circle. Like, this would probably be somewhat like-minded people would come back. And so there was this little island of sanity that we created like this. And, so we have the house rules, like when you're talking about, first assuming the worst of each other. It's like, that's one of our house rules in the chat. And it's like, do not first assume the worst of each other. If there's something that comes, you see that's written that hits you a little hard, it's like, you can ask, what did you mean by that?
Exactly.
Rather than filling in the blanks with what you need to be true to go off, just clarify someone's intention. It's like, you can ask, what do you mean by that? Don't first assume somebody, because words come out wrong. Sometimes formulations, sometimes it's even a typo. You forget to add the word not. And then all of a sudden, like, you love Nazis.
Yeah.
It's like, no, not. Damn, the apostrophe. Damn you, autocorrect. delete,
Yeah.
right? It happens, right? So it's like, rather than, it's like, this person whose tweets I've been following for the last year, all of a sudden put a tweet says, I love Nazis.
Horrible. Yeah.
Did he suddenly change, or did maybe something happen? Let's give some place for some grace. Like, send the person a little DDM and say, I think you might have had a typo in your tweet. It's like,
yeah.
Rather than assume someone has just converted overnight.
Or it's remembering too, we're taking it through our own filter and our own lens, right? So somebody might say something, but I'm the way that it's being received is as a result of kind of where I'm at today. How is my head? How am I doing? What was my morning like? But also, what are my preconceived beliefs about the subject? What is this a trigger point for me? Like, there's so much to it, and I think a lot of that got lost. And as you were saying, you don't have years and years of formalized training on how to be in a public space and carefully curate a message. You guys are live on a program early in the morning. Sometimes your mouth is going to be faster than your brain, and it's going to come out in a way that isn't necessarily reflecting the exact message you were trying to convey. So I think it is important that people take a step back and go, that didn't land well for me. To your point, can you please reiterate? Can you please clarify? This is what I heard. Was that what you intended? Like, we lost the ability to have that conversation, because we do everything in short form, the character limits and everything else. It's harder sometimes to get a succinct thought that covers all of the bases. And so people sort of fill in those blanks as you mentioned, but it's just everybody is fighting all the time. And social
Mhm.
media, when you think about it as where we are being sold to a advertising space, it functions well that way because rage is very stimulating from a dopamine perspective. People will keep coming back for more fighting and fighting. I have caught myself in some of the just most insane back and forths, and you're never going to change this person's mind,
No.
Sam, but yet you're still here to it too.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing, right? Like, as we're talking addictions, drama is one.
Mm.
Yes.
You can be addicted to drama, but also we're now in this world where I don't even want to say the person. I want to say the person that is behind the account, because not the account, what the account represents itself as, and the person behind it are not necessarily the same thing, right? So the account itself that you may be having this impassioned discussion with, why can't you understand, might exist for the exact purpose of not understanding, no matter what. And you are just wasting your precious time.
Well,
right?
I mean,
It's like,
let's go case in point. Who was it? The former, she was a writer for the Toronto Sun, Mr. Beaver, if you can remember her name, where I had a back and forth with her. She accused me of perpetrating violence because my
yes,
Twitter bio
Sue
says,
Levy.
Sue Ann Levy, yes. My
Sue Ann
bio
Levy.
on Twitter says, "Is chaos be kind, except for Nazis, punch them." She goes, "You're advocating violence," and I'm like, "I'm advocating punching Nazis. Do you like Nazis?" She goes, "I'm a Jewish woman." Then why are you getting on my case about saying punch Nazis? What the fuck is wrong with you? This woman is just a chaos theory. That's all she is. All she ever does. You know.
Because then we look
finally,
back.
I backed away because like this person needs more therapy than I do.
Yeah, because then we looked back, and then apparently she had wrote some op-ed about some, I guess, Muslims that had rented a hotel in a Ramada or something like that, and were having like a pig roast in the room or something. Like,
Sacrificed
that never happened
in the hallway. It never happened. Never happened.
But yeah, sacrifice got like not even close to happen.
Yeah, no truth. That she got fired from the Sun because it's like you just created a story,
and then went down to like like there's the Sun, and then there's the National Post. Then the Sun that still gets published, and then there are all the ones that went online where the adherence to journalistic principles kind of decreases every step down lower you go. And
was the one,
she
the
sort of
Buffalo
went to one of
Chronicle.
those.
The Buffalo Chronicle, which is basically, it's lower than the National Enquirer. It makes up the most ridiculous stories I've ever read. I'm like, oh, I'm out.
Yeah.
I think I realized in the last couple years, like how I think I'm cynical most of the time. Like I don't think I operate from this completely, positive worldview. And yet I'm also so incredibly naive because I was shocked at how much lying there is. And how could they lie? And where's the integrity? Journalists, I mean, everybody sort of knows the sayings that politicians lie, but watching them get up in front of a microphone, in front of the House, wherever they might be at any given time, and there's one specific individual that I'm thinking of more than anyone else in this commentary, but it's the blatant lie after lie. It's not a stretch of the truth. It's not an opinion
No.
founded in something that might be considered a falsehood. It is a blatant lie. And because people are so willing to consume whatever information they find online as fact, if it confirms a pre-existing belief or if it serves an agenda for them. I hate Justin Trudeau, therefore I will believe everything bad about Justin Trudeau. But if something positive happens as a result of the Liberal Party policy or whatnot, I will dismiss that as not either event or not even being true. And so you can lie
Fake
knowing
news, right?
you've got an audience who won't even fact check you. You're just out there saying whatever, and people are going to repeat it. And by the time it gets spread around, nobody can even really figure out the truth from the lie because they've heard it so many times, it feels like truth now.
Well, what's the old saying? A lie will go around the world 3 times before the truth even puts its pants on.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's exactly it.
Yeah,
And-
I mean, so
Go
they
ahead.
weaponize. They weaponize our systems against us, right? So they're weaponizing our justice system against us. They're like in the United States now, Trump is just suing any media for defamation or something that says anything remotely negative, or even like publishes a poll that says he might lose if you published a poll that said I was losing. I didn't lose. You tried to defame me. I'm suing you, right? So he's trying to litigate people into silence. You've got the online swarm where it's like we don't even know if we're talking to an actual human anymore in the exchange. And as that's getting like some of the bots, okay, like it's very obvious, but some of them are becoming more sophisticated. You don't know if you're wasting your time whatsoever. There's one of you and there's one person that's got this whole bank that can have like bombard you, right? You've got people that group up. It's like, it's like, I don't like you, and then send all their minions with all their sub-minions to flood you. There's all these aggressive behaviors, like you said, and it's just, like you said, it's angrier, right? And it's like, I keep on saying, if I were the dictator, it's like there'd be like a whole lot less anger and a whole lot more dancing. Because it's like, you can't be angry when you're dancing. It's just,
Right.
just get up from the keyboard and go shake a leg, or something. For me, like I agree with you. Like, you need to take a break, or you need to have some healthier boundaries, because like I would not be able to do what I do 5 days a week. I think like this year, there's a couple of days left, but I think there was going to only be one day this year that we did not present an episode. And I think we had a technical thing that just said, no, it's not happening today. But it's like even statutory holidays, whatnot, like we're
still presenting,
except for Saturday and Sunday, right? We're here 5 days a week. And it has gotten darker out there, right? So there has to, and I still want to remain engaged with people that I'm feeling are actual real people. So I don't want to do this method, Twitter X now is just one-way communication. I put out our shows at this time. This is what we think about that. And we just do not engage.
Yeah.
Right. But the whole point of this endeavor is to try to create some community. Right. So it's how do you have to take breaks, but the thing is like, how do you navigate this while being able to deflect the negativity? Like I see, like I get a response to something now that's like just so wild. It's like too angry, too weird, too negative. Sorry. Just next. Thank you. Next. Because there's just why? Right. And then something that I was taught earlier is that, it's what you let in. Right. So if you don't give people permission, like to have that power over you, then they can't have it. But there's still, that lasts so long when it's wave after wave after wave. I mean, it just erodes your will. It erodes your strength. And if you come on a day where you're a little weaker, for lack of purpose, or lack of a word, or you don't have as many resources today, or your bandwidth is a little lower, I guess just the wrong day.
And it happens.
Just the wrong day like this. And you tweet something like this, and in response, and there goes what everything I built the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Right. It takes one moment, right? So the management of this and your soul and your spirit, especially when you're a public figure and you are online, oh my God, it's like, it has to be like right up there in the priorities, or else you just get lost. And it's one of the things we're doing on the show. Like we realized at some point that certain things were connecting and certain things weren't. And it's like, well, I mean, if we do more of this, well, Yeah, but then we become that show.
And
Let's try to taste what we think will work based on what we're performing. It's like just present how you are like this, and the clicks will come or they will not come on any given day. But if you keep on doing it and you keep on doing it in a way that's honest and authentic, people will find you and eventually you will grow. I mean, if you don't want to take the shortcut. But
we talked about that yesterday too. When I said, if somebody, and I spoke with a colleague last night about that. I said, if somebody walked up and said, "Here's $200,000," I'm like, "Cool, thanks, but we need you to start promoting the Conservative Party." And Pierre Poilievre is like, "Nope, fuck you. I would rather starve than give away my principles and my integrity. You cannot buy me off. You can't do it. There's no amount of money in this world that will buy me off." There's a lot of people online, on social media, on YouTube, that are easily bought off, and we've witnessed this by tenant media, right? But we will never do this. We will never be bought off. Never. I'm sorry.
And
it's just, we have integrity.
And I think that is probably one of the bigger risks that we face here in Canada, but globally as well, is the ability to manipulate the message with money. Because unfortunately, some of the richest people on this planet are not the best people. This is not an original thought by any means, but the idea that there is no such thing as an ethical billionaire, because you could not be a truly good person and hoard that much wealth, right? And also, typically what it would take to get that rich means a lot of exploitation of people, right? So if we can agree that there is truth to that, then what we know is that there are some not so great people who also have a lot of money to manipulate the message to benefit them, to suit a specific agenda that is probably not going to be great for the average person. And so we're up against that, where people can be bought. There are bots, and then there are people who are bought, and they're both serving the same purpose, which is to perpetuate a message. And we heard all of this stuff, and it's so funny, almost like this idea that they're telling the truth. It's just not the exact truth, but this idea that there's this new world order being ushered in, and the WEO side, when in actuality, what you're kind of seeing is ushering in a lot of everybody else. We're being distracted by the idea that there is a new world order, but there is something happening. It's just not what they think is happening, in the sense that the message is being manipulated by them. They're doing the heavy lifting. They're carrying the water for the elite by perpetuating all of this other message type stuff. So it's pretty scary stuff when you see it, when you see the way that disinformation, as you mentioned, a lie can go around the world 3 times, but there's lies and then there's disinformation, and the intent behind disinformation is so terrifying, because we've continue to watch it play out. We're exhausted with fighting with people at an individual, but maybe that's the point, right? If you continuously attack the people who are here to say, this isn't right, that's not the truth, here's what is actually happening. But if your day is so consumed with trying to preserve your mental health, when do you have time to actually do the real work to put a stop to what's actually going on? And my fear is that we won't.
You're right about that.
The thing is, it's impossible because they're automated to do it, and we're not. They do it. It's not even them, right? They have machines doing it they do it while we sleep. Like, you are right. It is the intent. The strategy is, number one, to flood the zone with BS, right? Then destroy everyone whose mandate it is to try to seek truth, destroy all of their reputations, so that there is no truth. And if you live in a world where nothing is knowable, what do you anchor your reality to? If nothing can be known for sure. And then the other goal, I guess, where you got Elon, you're thinking, why did he invent invest $44 billion in wanting to destroy a platform, like
Yeah.
just throw it down the sink like this. If you, the other goal is to make the public square so unbearably toxic to be in that all decent, fair-minded people leave. And they just go to the corners and they isolate. And if we don't talk to each other because all the places where we could talk to each other are all toxic, it's really about creating these environments where all the cats are away and the mice get to play.
Nonstop.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
Right. And that's why the concept of resistance, right? It has levels. It's not just, no, I don't like it and I'm going to go march one day. It's no, they are automated coming at you 24/7 all the time. All rage all the time, all lies all the time, all negative all the time, all anger all the time. Right? We all have buttons inside, and it's like there's somebody over there just like button, and they're making you dance. And that's the thing. The point is to try and find strategies as consumers of social media, because in particular people who are need it to do whatever it is that we're doing to try to earn a living, or for advocacy work if we're doing it voluntarily and not trying to earn a living. But whatever it is that we're trying to do to make the world a better place ourselves, each individual group, each individual person, each individual initiative, not be flooded out by that, is to try to find some way is to be able to navigate through all that negativity. And it requires a complete strength that is ridiculous because you're being bombarded. But trying to build by building your own communities like this, but then you have to do the work to try to preserve them. Right. So, I mean, our chat here, we do have house rules and we will remove someone from the chat, and we won't wait 2 weeks.
No.
Like this, it's like you're coming in, you're spamming, it's all negative, it's all trying to pick fights. Like, thank you, you got to go. And it's not because we want everyone to agree on ideas, but we want everyone to agree at least on how we treat each other when we're debating our ideas.
Well, according to the current conversion rate of the U.S. dollar to the Canadian dollar, the Canadian dollar is at 70 cents U.S., and you can look at it right there. That's live. That's a live feed. So just to, for somebody in the chat who wants to spew bullshit lies, no, we're not having this. You're not going to do this. We will not allow you to lie. We will not allow you to lie. You can have your opinion and you're entitled to it, but you're not going to spread lies on this space.
And I think that that was the interesting part with Blue Sky for me, was that, the accusation that it's an echo chamber, and that, people were silencing any opinion that wasn't in line with their own. There are some people who are choosing not to engage with, let's call it, for the sake of making it probably very Canadian, like this sort of conservative viewpoint. If you're in line with the kind of Conservative Party of Canada, I don't want to hear from you. And that's a personal choice. And I think people are exhausted from the Twitter experience and experiences elsewhere, because frankly, I can't even scroll Instagram Reels now without getting a lot of stuff popping up about egg prices in the United States and how Donald Trump's going to save the world. And I'm like, I just want to watch cute videos of dogs. Like, I don't know how I got here, but it's obviously being pushed to me by an algorithm because it sells and it keeps you on the page, just getting madder and madder. And we went over that. But the thing with the concept of an echo chamber is that, like, I personally don't want one. I would love to have conversations with people who are capable of having respectful debate, who can, I want to understand why they think and what they believe, because I think it's the only way to get to a point where we can rectify some of the misinformation, where we can combat some of the disinformation, is to know what it is that they think in the first place. I can make assumptions about some of the falsehoods that are out there, but I want to hear it from the horse's mouth that this is what they think about inflation, or this is how they think, the vaccines rollout sort of happened and why it happened and whatever else. But the problem, like we said before, was not being able to do that. I think Blue Sky offers an opportunity, and forums like this offer an opportunity for people who are somewhat like-minded to come together and
Mhm.
decide, we kind of recalibrate and then say, how do we go back out to the public square, which includes people on the other side, and have these conversations in a way that might get us somewhere. Because as easy as it is and as tempting as it is to tell them all that they're fucking idiots, it's not working.
Well, clearly,
I don't know if
clearly.
I've ever changed anyone's mind by telling them that they're fucking stupid, and it doesn't
Nobody's
work
changed
as
my
much as
mind
I,
by
sometimes
doing that.
it's satisfying. No. But is there a way through delivery of information to do that better? So you guys at the top of the show asked what I'm working on, and that has been something with a couple of individuals, is kind of gathering information on what's out there. What do people believe? What are some of the things that are driving the sentiment that is ultimately supporting one of the most unlikable people I have ever had to witness on a phone screen, on a TV screen, coming through my ears on a podcast, and that is Pierre Poilievre.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's anything about this individual that spells a good direction for Canada, and he's just not a likable individual, so I'm not sure what draws people to him outside of their sheer Trudeau. And that he says the things that sort of validates a hatred that they have that they don't even really understand. So he gives them some sense of understanding of it. Why we are facing next year, whenever that may be. My opinion is it'll be spring, where Poilievre is all but likely to not only have the Conservative Party of Canada win, but win by a majority, and then be able to start rolling out some really harmful policy that will affect the very people who are going to vote him in. And I
You're
feel the
absolutely right.
only small chance of stopping that is to understand what would drive someone to vote for him in the first place, and then address that at a personal level for them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Do you have any ideas about tactics and strategies to achieve that?
So some of it is saying, okay, what's a list of things that people believe? So there's a bunch of different people conservative. I think there are people who benefit from conservative policies because they're wealthy. I'm not sure I'll ever change their mind. So they're sort of low on the priority list in terms of how to develop strategy around it.
Right.
I think that there are people who are misinformed. So is there ways that we can take what they're misinformed about and re-educate them? And I think
And that's the
you
key.
have to say, where are they on the spectrum of, because some people, like people in a cult, are so far down the rabbit hole, getting them back out is nearly impossible. We don't have a lot of time, and so we probably can't focus on that audience either. It's the people that are hovering somewhere near the middle. The people that are hovering near I would vote Liberal, but I don't really want to vote for Trudeau, or I'm not really sure because my neighbor said that if I vote Liberal, then they're going to charge me, 66% on all of my income because somebody said something about capital gains and I heard 66% and now I'm freaking out. Those sorts of things, and saying, okay, what is it that would drive you to lean towards this modern day Conservative Party? And how can I help correct the misinformation that is lending to that decision? So it's not telling you what to do. It's just letting you know that you might be making a decision based off of information that is wrong.
Well, this is one of the things that we say on this show all the time. We will never tell you how to vote or who to vote for. Never. But please learn information, and we suggest you do not vote for the Conservatives because you are voting against your own best interests. But if you want to vote for them, that's fine. But make sure you're informed and understand why you're doing it. And that's the key. Why are you doing this? Well, they said this. No. That's a lie. That's a lie. This is the thing. This is why we have a program, so that we can help inform Canadians. And I know people come on and go, you're liberal cucks. I'm like, yeah, sure, go ahead. Oh, you're paid by the Liberal Party. Oh, if only. If only. I wish that was the case. Then I might have a pension, right? And not the CPP, an actual pension. But no, that's not the case. We're
Yeah.
not paid by anybody but our viewers, and we get some ad revenue from YouTube, and that is it. That is it. We do this
Yeah.
as a service to Canadians to help inform people because people are busy and they don't have time to sit down and watch the 6 o'clock news, which now we know, or read the paper. And my goodness, 66% of the papers in this country are owned by an American right-wing oligopoly that is tied to the Republican Party, and they're extreme evangelicals. I'm like, none of that is good. And that all changed under Stephen Harper, because prior to him, foreign ownership of media in this country was not allowed. And I think we should go back to that. And look, if we have right-wing evangelicals that own a Canadian thing, but they're all Canadian, that's fine. That's fine. I don't want foreign influence. And that's what post-media is, foreign influence.
Mm-hmm. You were saying...
I think there is...
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
Oh,
please.
And I think it is a matter of saying, to your point, like, you're not going to tell somebody how to vote. You're going to figure out what it is that's driving the decision and then help them ensure that it's an informed decision. See, the thing is that freedom of choice extends beyond women's bodies. It extends to a lot of other things, but it has to be informed choice that does not hurt the majority. I think what we're seeing,
and that includes
really
freedom
scares
to make
me
bad
in Canada.
choices.
Yes, or choices that I don't agree with and therefore label bad.
Right.
But I fear that we're moving towards individualism in this country with the U.S. influence, where we're sort of out to protect ourselves, which is fine, but almost so much that it's at the expense of the collective. And that doesn't align with the Canadian identity to me. To me, Canadians look out for each other. I'm going to protect me and my family, but I'm also going to protect you because I know in doing that, you'll protect me. We used to have much more of an assurance that that was the case, and we were looking out for each other. And I think that that's why the COVID period, where we were in lockdowns and when we were rolling out vaccines and asking people to shelter in place, really shocked me, because I couldn't understand how so many people were so adamantly against wanting to protect their neighbors, the most vulnerable, whoever that might be.
Right. That's the one thing I couldn't understand either. I couldn't wrap my mind around what is it that you need so badly that you would still decide it's worth putting your neighbor at risk. I just couldn't. But I was a kid that could always pass the marshmallow test. Right? Do you know about the marshmallow test?
No, I don't. What is that? Please.
You take a young child like 3, 4, 5, and you put a marshmallow in front of them like this, and they get, marshmallow, wow, like this. But it's like, if you sit there and don't eat the marshmallow for 5 minutes, you can have a second marshmallow. And some are capable of passing the marshmallow test and some are not.
Right. I've never heard that before, but I like it.
Yeah. So
I think there's also the marshmallow test that says, if you don't eat this marshmallow for 5 minutes, everybody in the room gets a marshmallow.
Right.
And we wonder how many Canadians would have waited the 5 minutes to make sure their neighbors also got marshmallows. You still get your marshmallow. No one's taking it from you.
Yeah.
We're just asking you to wait for 5 minutes, sacrifice, everyone gets one.
That's so brilliant what you just did there.
It really is. And that was, I think, and please, if you think I'm way off base on this one, but I think at one point in time in this country, that is how the majority of people felt. I think at one point in time, most Canadians felt this. Oh, wait, if I wait 5 minutes, everybody gets something? Okay, cool, no problem. No problem. And we've since been inundated with sort of an American ideology of, I've got mine, fuck you.
Yes. I will acknowledge my privilege that would be my experience from the places in which I benefit from privilege, and that has not been the experience of every single Canadian. So I think that it's safe to say that there are marginalized groups who have never felt that everyone had their best interests in mind. So I just want to caveat that I'm not dismissing that, but I have certainly seen a shift even from the position you view the world from.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And I think some of the things that you mentioned when I was asking about strategies and tactics, you're right. Those methods are good and would be effective. And you're right. We do have to do the triage. And it's not the question of we're leaving people behind. But like you said, we have limited time and we got to first work on the groups we are more likely to reach. And hopefully if that happens, we'll come back for you. But, but yeah, right now we have to make sure that we win the battle. Right. So there are things that you
Yep.
can do, like, for example, we talk about it on the show, like when we talk about the UBI, for example, it's repackaging things, right? So if you're talking about, taking care of people who have less money, then it's like, well, what's in it for me? Well,
Mhm.
what's in it for you is lower hospital bills, lower legal costs, lower policing, more police monitoring your neighborhood to make sure nobody breaks in because they're not down there. Right? What's your self-interest? The environment stuff. Why? Why? It's like the carbon tax when raised your grocery bill. This was 0.5% over the last 3 years. How much has your house insurance gone up?
Mhm.
They want you to be
Yeah.
mad about the carbon tax so that you don't get mad about skyrocketing house insurance. You have all these subjects need to be reframed, but from their perspective. Okay, it strictly is, what about me? My self-interest? Here it is.
Mhm.
This is why you should care. Not be, and it's you can't appeal to morality. Do it for the greater good. Do it for they're not there.
Yeah.
Like this, but
Yeah.
you can make the climate change argument. You can make the taking care of your neighbor argument, taking care of the vulnerable argument, because in a manner that appeals to them. But we don't do that enough because we think that if they just see how right we are, they could just see how much it would help everyone else. They would. Oh my God, I can't believe it doesn't work that way. You got to take
And
another road.
that's exactly in line with some of the conversations that I've been having is saying, okay, um, most, I don't know about most, a lot of people are not against others, but they're for themselves. They think about
Mhm.
their interests first, and that's human nature, right? We protect ourselves, and we
Yeah.
learn to include others in that level of protection. And unfortunately, when people feel threatened, they step back and only consider themselves and their immediate family and
Right.
whomever else. Approach it from the perspective of empathy, where while we can't force
Mhm.
them to be empathetic of others, what if we try being empathetic of them in the sense, hear me out, that they feel threatened? They're terrified,
Mhm.
right? Most people don't act
Mhm.
like this because they're bad people. They act like this because they're afraid. And there
Boom.
has been so much fear mongering in the last couple of years through media, through politics, through whatever, that people are sitting here terrified that their livelihoods will go away, that their way of living will go away. They are othering every group possible because those groups have also been deemed a threat to them, their
Mhm.
safety, everything they know about their way of life. Um, so if we approach these folks as saying, okay, we can't reason with them to care about people that they don't currently care about, but we know they care about themselves. How do we address it that way? If we know that they are afraid, how do we approach them where we take that into consideration and we tailor the message accordingly? So this is a person scared
Mhm.
that allowing policy in for, protecting trans rights is going to hurt their children, while we
And you're right, it's
disagree.
fear. It's fear. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So there may not be facts that are basing that on that they have a right to be afraid, but the fact is that they are. How do we address it from that angle? And that's not catering to them or pandering to them. It's just simply working with what we've got.
Mhm.
Right. Right. And the thing is, I think over the last few years, some of the things that we learned is one that people are way more complex.
Mhm.
than
Yes.
we thought, because we talk about polling segmentation and demographics and groups, but in the last U.S. election, there are a lot of people that voted Democrat down the ballot and voted for choice in those state ballot initiatives and still voted Trump at the top of the ticket.
That's the part I just don't. So let me see if I understand this. The state of Ohio has now made it legal to get an abortion, but they voted for Trump.
Yeah.
How? I don't. What? What?
As a,
I have
I can get
opinions about that, but
here's
that's a different show.
yeah. Well, but here's the thing, right? Is that we thought, I'm saying, talking like I'm an American. The Democrats thought that they would be as clever as the Republicans were when they put the Proposition 8 on the ballots against gay marriage,
Mhm.
which got Bush's second term. So they thought, we'll do it for these rights. But turns out that people who are a little more sophisticated than people gave them credit for said, well, wait a minute. I can vote to keep my right to choice
Mhm.
and lower the price of eggs by voting Trump.
That's the. And what
So
did
it
he
turns
say
out that
just
the
a couple of
strategy
days ago?
backfired. Turns out the strategy backfired.
Oopsie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Had they
you
just
can't lower the prices.
had they just said maybe just Kamala Harris will support your right to choice, and they didn't put any of those ballots out, maybe people would have felt more pressure to come out and actually tick, because there was no. So the thing that they thought would bring people out maybe was their escape hatch, or gave their permission slip. Right? Sometimes you can be too clever for your own damn good. Right?
Agreed.
It's like, but nobody thought, it's like, hey, even we thought, I said, my God, we spent the whole time thinking like this is brilliant. And then we turned around and said, oh, we didn't count on you guys doing that. We didn't even think of you doing that. We didn't even consider it among the realm of possibilities. Humans are complicated. They're tricky. They're clever.
Yeah.
All right.
And they're emotional, and remember that we can sit here and we can intellectualize every issue, and we can put links in the chat, and we can demonstrate to people why the information that we are sharing is based in analysis and fact and evidence. But at the end of the day, if we do not acknowledge the emotion that comes behind decision making, it's all for nothing. Because if somebody in the United States of America is willing to disregard the fact that Donald Trump is a rapist and a con, then because they want cheaper eggs, we have to, as much as that will break your brain to try, we have to try to understand where that decision comes from. Because here in Canada, we are now sort of facing the incoming fascism that the United States has ushered in as a result of their recent vote. And if we don't use the lessons from that and say, why would someone disregard everything else and vote against their own interest for egg prices? We're going to lose without any opportunity to even save it.
Well, and we aired a clip yesterday on the show. That show talked about Josh Hawley says, I'm a Christian nationalist. He's a Republican. Is he a governor, a senator or a congressman?
Senator from Nebraska.
Senator, thank you. He's a Christian nationalist, and he wants to make a Christian nationalist state. And then we saw something else said, that's it. Democracy's done. We're taking over. And this is what is literally happening in the United States of America. And it can happen here. And I'm like, we are on the precipice of Gilead becoming real. We are on the precipice of The Handmaid's Tale being enacted across the country in the United States of America. And we are next if we don't pay attention. We are, if we do not pay attention.
A lot of people use the Handmaid's Tale reference, and it's very poignant for that point. One of the ones that I've started to ask people to remember is the Hunger Games. So in the Hunger Games, everybody is isolated into districts, and then you have the capital of elite. And the districts are forced to fight one another for resources and for
And
entertainment
entertainment.
purposes, and because yes, it benefits the
Amuse
capital.
us.
But you got the
Ha
the capital full of rich people who are, living lavish lifestyles while everyone else suffers, but they've been divided. So you're in your, district and you're different than me. So I hate you too. Because if we
Yes.
hate each other, we can't find time to hate them. And so I ask
Mhm.
people, pay attention to The Handmaid's Tale, but do not The Hunger Games, because I think we're being so inundated with culture war, we forget that what we're really up against is a class war. And there are not multiple classes.
Yes.
Correct.
There is them and there's
Yeah.
everybody else.
You
Yes.
are
And everybody
absolutely
who's
correct.
fighting each other can be among the everybody else. I'm whenever we talk about the choice issue, but this can apply to any of the groups. When we're talking about all the isms, is like I think it's Brittany Packnett Smith, I think her name is, who was talking to white conservative women. Is that, do not make the mistake of assuming that your whiteness or your loyalty to the cause will save you from what the patriarchy eventually has in store for you.
Yep. Why are the leopards
Right?
eating my face?
Yeah, I didn't think they
And
would.
same thing for like log cabin gays. It's like, do not think that your servitude to the party is going to save you for what they have in store from you because you still like dick.
Yeah, they
Yep.
will throw you under the
I
bus.
guess. Or Clarence Thomas, don't think that your service on the Supreme Court like this is going to save you what they have in store from you. They will get you too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I
Just
mean,
lower down the list of priorities. They will get to you though eventually.
yes, they're doing the same triage. They know they got you in the bag. They don't need to deal with you first. They save you
Someone
for
in the
last.
chat
You're dessert.
Someone in the chat said they need a higher birth rate for the worker class. I feel like I need to call in sick and we can just do a whole day show because there's so many good topics. But it's I've been having this conversation around birth rate panic, and it's really interesting because, again, going back to the staying sort of on the theme of the Hunger Games, it really is. It's saying, well, we need more people to fuel late stage capitalism. We're not really concerned that the world is at risk. We're worried that there's not a certain type of people, which is white Christians. We're worried that there's far too many of the people that live in all of the other parts of the world that are going to take over because there's a lot of panic around white replacement as well. But certainly if we think about it purely from a the kind of worker class versus the elites, they're worried that who will run our factories and do our bidding for us so that we can continue to get richer and richer. It's a competition to have the biggest bank account. That's all it is. It's just a game to them at the expense of everybody else, exploiting everybody else so that they can prop up their egos and their narcissism. And I can't believe how many people in conversation that I've tried to have will carry water for billionaires, not realizing that they are in fact being exploited by the same people that they're defending in the argument.
That's the thing that kills me. Why are you carrying water for somebody who wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire? Right? I mean, literally, they don't care about you. You don't exist to them. You know what you know what you are to them? You're a cog in the machine to generate more revenue for them. That is it. Nothing more.
Yeah.
And if more people understood that, people have this American dream. I can get rich too. No, you can't. The system is rigged against you. There's a certain number of people that are allowed to ascend to that upper echelon, and you ain't one of them.
Right now, we're seeing it. Sorry, go finish your sentence.
And maybe if you realize that, you can take a look around at your neighborhood and go, you know what? That guy over there in the corner who's got his hand out asking for change, maybe I should ask him why he's doing that. And you might find out that he has severe mental health issues and he cannot hold down a job. And ODSP does not pay him enough money to survive. And that's why he's there looking for more money. There's a couple that hangs out in my neighborhood. They sit in the corner and they ask for change. And here's the funny thing. I remember the first time we met them. We were walking home one night, and my beloved, my wife Bridget, is always, trying to help everybody she sees. And she says to them, she says, "Oh, hi, how you doing? How's your evening? Not too bad. Do you need anything? Yeah, we could use maybe some milk or some bread." And we both went, "That's not something we've ever heard before." It was kind of a surprise to us. And if she has change or a couple of bucks, she'll hand it out easily, no problem. But that was the first time. So we got to know this couple, and we're friends with them. And they're like, they're just trying to survive. They actually are housed. They're not homeless. They're housed, but they don't have enough money to survive. They're both on ODSP, and they can't live together, because if they did, ODSP gets taken away from one or the other. So they have to live apart. So this is how the system is rigged against people. And this is one of the major problems. This is a guy, he has schizophrenia, and he struggles daily. And I've had long chats with him, because I told him, I said, I struggle with my mental health. I have depression, I have anxiety, I have ADHD. I struggle with all of it, but I'm able to keep enough of a lid on it so that I can function in society on a daily basis. He has schizophrenia. And Mr. Beaver, you are intimately attached to schizophrenia. You know exactly what it's like. Not, you don't have it, but you've lived with it, right?
Yeah.
So you know how difficult it is to function in the world when you have that. And we do not give him the support he needs. So what does he have to do? He has to stand on a street corner with his hand out asking for change. The system is rigged against us. It is designed to keep us down. It is designed to punch down on those who cannot punch.
Well, and I think that that's the part that floors me the most, is that people who are supporting billionaires, I think there's this belief that they want to maintain a belief that they could one day be the billionaire, that they could one day be the wealthy class, when in fact most people are just a few paychecks or one layoff away from being the person that's living in the encampment that they've been shitting on for months on Facebook because they want to get rid of the encampments. But I think some of my theory around that also goes back to fear. We don't want to face the possibility that that could be us. And so we hate them for triggering something inside us, which is that fear as well. Right. And it's more complicated than that. Why I think people. Yeah.
It is more complicated.
But what you mentioned too.
Sorry, we got a bit of a delay here.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sam.
That's probably. I was just saying. I think that we will see people who will. I've lost my train of thought. You guys go.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No,
so sorry.
It's okay.
But what you were saying, right, also is working from the other end, right? All these people think that maybe one day I could be a billionaire, and when they are so close to one or two paychecks away, or a stroke that leaves you hemiplegic, just a health event, right? Doesn't even have to be a bad. You don't even have to lose your job. It could just be a health event, right? That happens and just changes your life. And on the other side, like we're looking in the United States, where they had this whole budget bill ready to go because they had all agreed on it, and now it looks like it's Donald Trump just turned around and said, "This thing is crap. Vote against it," because Elon doesn't like it as well. Actual President Musk doesn't like it, so vote against it. And you had all these people that had campaigned against certain things or that accepted the bill, like this, and the Democrats are going like, "We had a deal. Like an agreement's an agreement. Just put this through." And they're going like, "Nope. All of a sudden, I believe in what Elon believes." And there are not many people in Congress who are not already millionaires, to start with, or well on their way to being, if they're not yet, right? And they're well off. They'll be good for the rest of their lives. But Daddy Warbucks might see me, and given that he just dumped $250 million into Trump's reelection campaign, maybe he'll sprinkle a little my way. So all of a sudden, that thing I said I believe 3 weeks ago, what? Did I do good, Daddy?
Yeah.
In the cup, the penny, a few $100,000. Right here, Daddy. Did I do good, Elon? Did I? We're seeing it happen right before our eyes. It's not only like people think I could be a billionaire one day if I just play my cards right, but it's like you got this whole other group of people that are making decisions. Like maybe one day the billionaire will see me.
Well, how many times has he promised to fix the water problem in Flint, Michigan? Never spent a penny. Never did anything about it. How many times he said, well, I can put an end to homelessness. $20 billion would end it. 20 billion would end either is it worldwide hunger or homelessness. I can't remember. It's one or the other. He's worth $400 billion. 20 billion is nothing to him. And yet he's not doing anything to help people. On the contrary, he is cutting the budget and punching down on those who don't have. And his mom, who I used to admire, I no longer do. She's from Regina, Saskatchewan. May Musk came out and said, everybody should have more children. Don't worry, you don't need to go to the movies or go out to dinner. You can do without and just still have more children. I'm like, what the hell is... We're in the upside down right now. It's just insane. Sam, I understand you have to head out shortly, so we thank you. Thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate it. And every time you come on, it's always like just a stimulating, wonderful conversation. And you help add to our show by bringing up topics that we don't necessarily have on top of mind for us. So anytime you want to come back, just let us know. We'd love to host you again.
I would love
Please
to.
do.
Yes, thank you so much. And thanks.
Oh, please go ahead. Sorry. I'm on a delay.
I think I'm on a bit of a delay. Yeah. I was just saying I wanted to thank everybody. Thank you guys for having me on. Thank everybody for all of the valuable info. I've been trying to keep up with the chat as well as we've gone through it. So really cool to see how many people are engaged this early in the day and having really smart conversations. So I appreciate that as well.
Thank you so much. And a big thank you to anybody from Sam's audience who joined us today and have checked us out. We hope that you enjoyed the show and hope that we made your favorite guest feel welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Right,
have a very happy holiday.
A wonderful day.
Bye.
Thanks, you too. Merry Christmas. Bye.
She's delightful. She's delightful.
Sam is awesome.
Delightful.
Well, here's the great thing is because, I mean, when I first encountered her, I'm like, a few years back, like I talked about at the top of the show, I saw her on the Twitter and I'm like, this is some of the funniest stuff I've ever read. This is a very smart person. Because to write good comedy, you need to be very intelligent.
Right.
And the occupation of Ottawa took place, and then we connected and we were in a few Twitter spaces and we've become friends since. And I love reading her content on Blue Sky. I mean, she's kind of backed off Twitter, as many of us have, because it's the bad place. But it's so insightful and real and pulls no punches. And that is what I appreciate. This is why I want to have her on from time to time, because, anytime she wants to come and join us and has something to say, like, come on in. You'll help us at the same time, because you're going to add to our conversation and inform us of things we're not necessarily aware of, because we miss stuff. We can't catch everything. This is why we're so thankful for like Uncover the News, who's always sending us links constantly. I mean, I can't keep up with all of them because there's so many, but Uncover the News, I don't know if because you're on Uncover the News in the chat here, I know your actual name, but I'm not going to say it because maybe you want some anonymity. But thank you for all that you do for us in helping, pinpointing and highlighting stories for us that we can bring out and share with you. So yeah, and yes, Tavi G, exactly, a female perspective as well, right?
Yeah, and different age group, and
yes.
I think somebody on the chat said, "Is like, do we have a millennial?" And I was like, "I would have loved to ask your question, but a gentleman does not ask a lady her age."
Sam G is a millennial. She's a millennial. She used to have a podcast called "Where's Our Participation Trophy." Two millennials, and it was a great pod. It was really funny. It was really fun. I think you can still find it on the YouTube. I'll see if I can dig it up for you. Hang on a sec. Yeah. I did have a subscription. I did subscribe, right? Because, friend, we help each other out like that. And it was really funny, really funny. Well worth your time.
Okay. So a couple of things I wanted to address. The dollar comment, it seems the actual dollar is not at a lower rate. It's just under $1.70, $1.69 right now. There was a comment in the chat that was indicating that it was way lower, like 155 or something. But it turns out that through our kits doing some detective work, and I think it was Kit Mr. Jim, they found out that was just a variation on calculation, but the normally accepted method was not used this time. So it wasn't necessarily an intention to misinform or lie, but just using of the adoption of a way of calculating that was not not the standard. If you actually go look up and see on the web and say what's the dollar trading at. Another thing I wanted to mention, because it seems to be a thing that we need to say, at least if we were in the United States, but I'm not going to take any chances. Donald Trump technically was civilly adjudicated as being responsible for, I think it is either sexual assault or sexual abuse. I believe it's sexual abuse.
Correct.
In the state of New York, which has laws that are a little bit different in other states. But also remember that Donald Trump in that state tried to sue somebody for saying that they had raped E. Jean Carroll, and the judge who adjudicated the case literally said, you lose this case because even though according to the statute, technically you weren't accused, you weren't found guilty of rape, because in common parlance and in many other states, it would have been guilty of rape. So
correct.
Like, thank you for coming to our courtroom to be pedantic, but you have made a distinction without a meaningful difference. It was basically the judgment. But if you don't say it the right way, it looks like he's going to jump on and sue you. So say it the right way and then add all the caveats. Unfortunately, it's the world we live in now. Let's see. And the other thing, I mentioned that I didn't get into the conversation because I said there was two things that I had found from Sam's conversation. I would have loved to get her views on this, but we can do that in another show. But the first one is that people are messy and way more complicated and complex than we thought. But number two, I think we're learning that fear sells even more than sex does.
It does. It really, really does.
That's like a new law, right? Like the new law of advertising was like, just put sex on it. Put a woman in a bikini and like slap a telephone next to her and people will buy the phone, right? It's like, woohoo. Sex sells, but it seems that fear really sells.
It really, really does.
It is a multi-billion-dollar market. Oh boy. Be afraid of everything. Well, there's one fewer thing that I heard on the news that we need to be afraid of, and that's murder hornets. Apparently,
they're back.
Whatever.
Are they back?
No. Apparently, whatever has been done, they've for now at least eradicated them from North America or something. So the beehives are safe from murder hornets at the moment.
So we needn't be concerned, is what you're saying.
It seems so. We needed to be concerned.
This is good from Linda. Bad. Sex sells, fear grifts.
Oh,
thank you once again, Linda, for coming off the top rope with the atomic elbow and just slamming that one home.
Boom. Yeah. Ooh,
I have to get some more water. I'll be right back.
That would go well on a t-shirt. Fine. Sex sells, fear grifts. Damn. Linda coming in with the heat. Woo. So I do not know technically if we should do more news or just wrap this up as an episode, because I do intend to come back this morning and do the shuffle. So that might be the thing to do, and then I'll incorporate the actual sort of prepared news of the day. Try to throw in a couple of tidbits here in the show when we're talking to Sam, but do a more proper show that way, because when we before we went to bed last night and we had booked Sam for the day. We did not know that the shuffle was going to happen today, so we thought that this would be the only, well, not the only newsworthy item, but that we could save some newsworthy items. They would keep until Monday. Let's put it that way. But then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, shuffle. Okay. I guess that's happening. So, yeah, we'll be taking care of that. In the comments from the kits, there's one from Tim McCaffrey that struck me. He said, the sad thing is the Oreo joke thing is on par with the Laurier Club communist thing. And that one, indeed, was a thing for those who are not aware of what that is. We talked many episodes ago of a person who goes by Tracy Foran, who wants to be a candidate for the Conservatives in a riding in British Columbia, I believe. And Tracy's particularly special. And we hadn't heard from her for a long while after her last bout with online celebrity. But it seems that she's back. And this time she was claiming that Justin Trudeau was speaking at the Laurier Club, and there was a maple leaf on the podium with laurels around. And she appeared to believe that laurels, laurier, laurels, des feuilles de laurier, bay leaf, laurels is actually called feuilles de laurier in French. So laurier, laurels at the Laurier Club. She actually appeared to believe that laurels were wheat, and that because hammer and sickle wheat is a sign of communism, and my God, we shouldn't have that anywhere near the Canadian flag. But it wasn't the Canadian flag; it was the logo of the Laurier Club. And I don't know what world she lives in, but she is in for one further mucking surprise when she sees the flag of Saskatchewan.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, she got that from Cat Canada, who is a Russian sleeper agent. Well, I don't know what else to call Cat Canada because she's
allegedly.
Well, she's from Russia. She's Russian.
Yes,
no, she's literally from Russia.
I know that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying allegedly, or you know why.
Yeah. She's allegedly a sleeper agent. Well, she spews forth Russian propaganda all the time, and she put that out there, and then, of course, Tracy Foran ran with it, and I'm like, oh, my God, are you that stupid? You just believe anything
just
that
thirsty.
supports your narrative.
Thirsty.
Speaking of thirsty, I forgot my water.
I
went and filled it up, and then I had to go see Lola, and then I'm like, I don't have my water. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's thirsty for clicks. So yeah, apparently, she believed laurels were wheat, and she doubled down and tripled down and quadrupled down on it. And like people going like, dude, just take the L. See what I did there? L for Laurier. Laurels. Just take the L, man. And it appears that somehow she did somewhat. The tweet just vanished.
Yeah.
And disappeared. So, but yes, she did like say something about it, but it's like, she didn't just make the tweet disappear and pretend nothing happened. She did put out something addressing it.
She did admonish or admit or something to that.
Yeah, but I mean, in sort of like the least you could possibly do kind of way that conservatives seem to have when they apologize for stuff, or dare to acknowledge that they might have maybe potentially on one given day possibly maybe have done something maybe that's not quite completely okay. Maybe I did. Maybe, possibly, maybe. Even acknowledging that much. They just can't seem to go all the way. It's just... So,
well, I'm sorry if you were offended. That's not an apology.
Right.
Not an apology.
So, yeah. But I'm sorry, but I had to get it off my chest.
Oh, no, yeah.
No, you didn't. You really didn't. So, Mr. Grizzly, I wanted to ask, do we want to just make
think
this one a standalone,
I think
and
we
then
should.
we'll include the news because we can actually just package this one as an interview. It was good enough.
Yeah,
So
I think yeah.
standalone.
I don't think we need to add anything to it. I think this is great. Let's just wrap it up and head on out.
All right. So, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show, or the True North Eager Beaver Interview Project, I should say. We hope that you loved listening to us because we love making this for you, and we hope that you really appreciated our guest. By the comments that I am seeing in the chat here, I am thinking that that is indeed the case. The kids and cubs seem to have very much appreciated the artist formerly known as Sam G.
From the bad place. From the bad place.
From the bad place. So thank you, kids and cubs, for joining us this morning. Remember, we will be back this afternoon, not this afternoon, later this morning, either alone or with Mr. Grizzly, depending on how he's feeling. Unfortunately, I can't see what the bubble is because, yes.
I'm not in a bad mood. I'm just smart. That's it was
I know
Bill
things are not
Watterson
good.
from Calvin and Hobbes. I'm not
Yes,
in a bad
yes,
mood.
yes.
I'm just smart. And then, of course, I thought I'd share this one too from Charlie Angus, Song of the Day, Sudbury Saturday Night from Stompin' Tom Connors. I had the great privilege of playing some of those crazy northern bars back in the day. Anything and everything would happen. Is it just me, or has Saturday night become a much more well-behaved time?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Well, there was a time when Saturday night was for fighting. Now Saturday
Yeah.
nights for Netflix and chilling. So,
Yeah.
we've kind of calmed down a bit. So remember, sharing is caring. Tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really appreciate it when you do. And if you would like to make sure you do not miss an episode on podcast, well, you don't have to, because the Ray Girl has come to our rescue 2 years in a row, sponsoring our pod page. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Ray Girl. And if you would like to not miss the episode, then you scan that QR code, especially if you're new, because I'm noticing a lot of new names in the chat. So thank you to all of you who have found us relatively recently, and keep coming back and participate in the chat. And thanks to add to our growing Damn Fam. I'm having so many children. Whew, that's a lot of kids in 1 year.
Oh yeah.
I'm exhausted.
Settle her down. Settle her down.
Queen Beaver keeps giving birth. Hardly have time to polish my crown. But no, seriously, to all of you who have joined us and found us recently, welcome, and we hope that you do enjoy it here. So scan that QR code if you don't want to miss any of our episodes in podcast form. And if you're listening, that's podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when you click subscribe, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to you, faster than Canada Post. Okay, now, sorry, I had to. If you would like to.
Canada Post has been pretty quick because they went back to work on Tuesday, and something had been sent out some while ago, and then they went on strike, and it sat in the sorting center, and my apron that Cassie made for me, it showed up Tuesday. Like they went back to work, and we got it that day, which was a big surprise.
I saw in the chat yesterday that there might be something from Cassie with some remaining material from the apron coming for Lola.
It's for Lola. She's going to have a bandana, a senator's
bandana.
And Lola loves to wear stuff. Like I put a scarf on her. She loves it. She loves it. Loves it.
Puppy.
Like if I take her, she has a kerchief on right now, a neckerchief. I call it a neckerchief. I don't know. Maybe you call it something else. But she has it on. And if I take it off, she's like... If I take her collar off, she loses it.
Oh, really?
Daddy, I bought that for her special because it was a bright pink collar. If I take it off, she's panicked, like literally panicked if I take it off her. It's really something to see. I'll try and get it on video at some point and share it with everybody, because when her collar comes off, she's like, what are you doing? Daddy gave that. That's Daddy. Like literally she panics. And you've seen her when she gets excited. Think of her like that, but with like anxiety.
Okay. Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. If you would like to support us in other ways, Kit Elaine, the lovely and delightful Kit Elaine, is waiting for you to welcome you aboard True North Eager Beaver Incorporated Airlines down on our YouTube page. Come aboard and click all our buttons. Like, share, subscribe. Stay a while. We have the comfiest seats in all of travel. So click our buttons. It helps us with the algorithm. Thank you so very much. Now, if you would like to help us in other ways, because I have been a really good beaver all year long, and Mr. Grizzly has been a very, very good bear.
I don't know about that.
Hey, the Queen Beaver has said that is the case, and therefore that is the case.
Okay, I'll take that then. I'll take that.
My most loyal subject has been a very good bear this year. So,
alrighty then.
So, if Kits and Cubs, you would like to encourage us, and I don't know, maybe Santa Kit is hearing our letter and would like to put a little something in our stocking this year, well, that would be most welcome and appreciated. So if you scan that QR code by Mr. Grizzly's head, sorry, that was a slip. That was a slip. That was
there
not
is
intentional.
hair, but I shave it.
That was not intentional. By Mr.
I've got a 5 o'clock shadow right now because I haven't shaved since yesterday morning. So
this is the second time this week that this happens now.
Mm-hmm.
Like this. The other one, there was a tweet where I said something about Jagmeet Singh, and I said I wanted to say prompting, and my autocorrect changed it to probing.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good.
I know.
That's
and I'm
really
like,
bad.
I like putting an addition out. Probing, narrator voice. It is at this precise moment that Mr. Beaver realized that his penchant for double entendre means that no matter how much he protests, nobody on the planet would believe that this was actually an autocorrect mistake.
You're alone on that one, bud.
That's the downside of being cheeky.
You're alone on that one.
So, but the QR code by Mr. Grizzly's head will bring you to our coffee page, where we have replaced our customary tip jar with our seasonal stockings to hopefully see what Santa Kit brings us. And we appreciate everything that you are able to put in there. Now, if you're not able to contribute a thing, please do not feel bad at all. Worry not a second more, because the gifts that you've already put in there, which are the gifts of your attention and the gifts of your participation, are the ones that bring us the most joy. And we want to hear from you. So please write to us. TrueNorthEagerBeaver@gmail.com is our email address. You can reach us at TrueEager, both at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge, which is the good place, and on the shitter, Thunder Lightning, which is the bad place.
Yeah, we're not going to the bad.
Got to maintain both my alter. I got to maintain both my alter.
I mean, we still have an account on the bad place. We're not going to abandon it yet. Yes. So, because that might be inevitable, right?
You can go to the Beaver Lodge where you get good Queen Beaver, or you can go to the bad place Beaver Lodge where you get spicy Queen Beaver. We serve all publics. So please, we appreciate you going there. Our Facebook page, which for a lot of people are finding all of a sudden, because for the longest time, like I'm talking the longest time, we were stuck at a certain level, and I just saw the count go up the other day. It's like, woo, more people, yay. So more people are coming to the Facebook page. That's really kind. Thank you very much. And of course, if you're listening here on YouTube, right down below, we have a comment section. So let us know what you think, good, bad, or ugly. If it's ugly, please be gentle though. Okay. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Because democracy is something that you do, it is the giving season, Kits and Cubs. So if there are any local artists in your area, either a choir or even just a band that you like that happen to be doing stuff for the holidays, why not buy a ticket and go and support some local talent? All right. They work very hard to bring you some entertainment for the holiday season. So go on and support them with your dollar, your presence, and cheer for them. That would be a good thing to do. Okay, let's see. Well, I guess that's everything from me. So it could be a tough world out there, kids. Please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, some words of wisdom, please.
Yeah, take a lot of vitamin C so you don't feel like me. I feel like hell right now.
You made that rhyme. Take a lot of vitamin C so you don't feel like me, Mr.
poet.
Grizzly.
And
Boom.
darn it, I do know it. All right, let's get at it.
All right, Mr. Grizzly, please cue the cock. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.